start part C of Module 4, Getting Started with Bootstrap, Part 1. Starting from today, we will learn a new technology called Bootstrap. It is a very popular CSS framework. Definitely, we will spend quite some time to study this technology. But still, because we are very close to midterm, so I need to help you review, explain many questions in homework, comprehension questions, and quizzes. So in order to do that, so for each class, I can only cover a smaller part of this technology. So this Bootstrap, I may split into, several classes. So today, we start with part 1. So then part 2, part 3, okay? So let's see how many we need. Let's start. Part C.1 Results on some questions from Homework 1, Part 1. For the questions from Homework 1, I'd like to discuss several selected questions. So those questions that you missed relatively with high rates. So I did some statistics. And I divided into 2 parts. The part 1 and next video, part 2. So let's start with part 1. The first question, question number 4. So for this question, miss rate, those students who lost the points in this question, 26%. Approximately 1/4. 60, let me see, not 60, this class, how many students? 23 students, 23 students submit homework 1, so approximately 1/4, so you can see, 24, if we use 24, 1/4, 6 students, 6 students missed this question. All right, so the answer, I hope those 6 students, you pay attention to this private IP address. Private, not public. So those students probably didn't pay attention to this private word. So they use the public IP address. So then they choose B, option B. But for private, the answer is different. So I hope you know the private, because, so when you connect to internet, suppose this is network 1, network 2, right? Connect to internet, right? Connect to internet, okay? In network 1, you have some private network, internal, in a company. So think about in a company. So you can get, many, private IP address. But that private address within that public. So there is a public IP address. The public unique. But inside that public, within that, umbrella, inside it, then you can have internal private IP address. Internal. Those IP addresses only used within the external IP address. Similarly, you can have the same thing like that, right? Then one private IP address here and another private IP address here, they can have the same value, but there is no confusion, right? No confusion, because this one IP address number 1 under that public IP address, P1, okay? That private IP address number 2 under public IP address number 2. Okay? P1, P2 different. Okay? Under P1, under P2, that private could be the same, right? So that's the idea. So that's the basic idea. Yeah. All right. So hope you understand this concept. Yeah. In the notes, when I explain that concept, I didn't draw diagram like this. Yeah. Because to understand this concept, it is not very hard. So I didn't draw the diagram just like what I did a moment ago. Yeah. All right. So this is the first question. The second question, IPv6 address. Yeah. Usually we're not quite familiar with IPv6 address. Yeah. We are familiar with IPv4. Yeah, because they're much shorter. Yeah, it's much easier to see its structure. Yeah. IPv4 much longer, the string much longer. Yeah, all right. But in the notes, I discussed several basic rules. Here, the question I designed, I try to test you one of those rules. Yeah. So I do not want to go too far on IPv6 addresses, too complicated. Yeah. So I select one special property and create this question. Yeah. Then the missing rate, very high, 74%. Okay. 3/4 approximately. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 24, 18. So look at that, 18 students missed this question. Okay, yeah. So let me explain that rule. Yeah. I like to use the example I used in my notes. This one. This one you can see there are 2 0 blocks, consecutive 0 blocks. One, this consecutive 0 blocks. Another, this consecutive 0 block. Yeah. This only 1 0 block. Yeah. So we can still treat as consecutive, but 1 block, special case. But if you have 2, yeah, it's also okay, right? 2, yeah. But here I just use this one. Yeah. All right, then we apply that rule. All right, apply rule. We try to reduce the number of characters representing this whole string, long string. Yeah. Based on the rule, yeah. So this block we can replace by that. Okay. Yeah. So you will see, this, all these things gone. Okay. After we remove that, you can see colon, back-to-back colon. Okay. Nothing between. Yeah. So we simplify it. Yeah. All right. But based on our rule, this simplification can only be applied once in your whole string. Yeah. After you apply here, other places, if you have more consecutive 0 blocks, no, you cannot apply this rule another time. The reason is very simple. The reason is if you do that, then when you recover, think about, when you recover to the original string, people will get confused. The system, yeah, encoding, decoding, yeah, the decoding system will get confused. Yeah? Because you don't know, right? How many zeros, how many blocks here, how many blocks there, get confused. Yeah. So that's why, in order to avoid that ambiguity, only 1 block can be compressed using this rule. Other 0 blocks, consecutive 0 blocks, no, you cannot but you can simplify in this way. Between two adjacent columns, all 0, you use 1 0 to replace all the zeros. Okay, all right. So even suppose you have, two consecutive 0 blocks like this, right? When you compress it, use colon, 0, colon, 0, colon. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So you use a little more, a few more characters, but you can avoid ambiguity. Yeah. So that's the rule. Yeah. So if you go back to C, you will see the whole rule, the meaning is like this, because no confusion, right? Yeah. At that time, I just give you the rule, but I didn't explain this confusion story, encoding, decoding confusion story. Yeah. Because at that time, I couldn't spend too much time. Yeah. So for that reason, yeah, I just explained the rule. Yeah. Then those students, they may not go back to check the rules. Yeah. So when you work on this question, if you go back to check the rule, find the right place, then try your best to understand the meaning. Then you should be able to get this question. Yeah. So that 1/4, 25% approximately. So those students, yeah, got the right answer. Yeah. I hope they understand the meaning. So not just guessing. Okay, I guess this is the answer. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So this is the, the reason behind that answer. Yeah. Next question, number 10. This one, how many? Is 17%. Yeah. Not very high, 17%. Yeah. In the HTML tag, when we write the value for an attribute, are we allowed? Yes, we are allowed. Remember, sometimes. So here, if you go back to check the rule, sometimes there are several conditions. If the value for this attribute, the value does not contain some special characters, right? So, we have some, the character cannot contain space, right? Ampersand, right? Several special characters. So you can imagine, right? You can imagine, right? Less than, greater than, some special characters. If there is no such problematic, because those characters may cause some potential confusion understanding for the browser. Yeah. You have to enclose using double quotes or single quote. Yeah. Other than that, if no such harmful, or whatever, dangerous characters, problematic characters, then you do not need to use any quotes. But for best practice, even you do not need to use quotes, it's better to use quotes. It's still better to use quotes. Why? One reason. We know in XML, all values are required to be included inside quotes, no matter any special characters or not. For XML, you are required to use that. But for HTML, we are not required to do that. But think about, if you use the XML rule, stricter than HTML, then your file, if later sometime your file needs to pass the XML validation, you can pass it, right? Because for some special XML application, if your HTML satisfy the rules for the XML, then those XML applications can be applied on your HTML document. So that for that kind of thing. So there is some benefit. Now, you cannot predict, but if in your mind you just try to use the best practice all the time here in this way all the time, then you will have a good chance to benefit from that, for that kind of effort, extra effort, benefit from that. Yeah. All right, so let me move to the next question, number 12. Yeah, so this one, I mean, I remember in one of the questions, I explained a little bit, related to this question. 30% missed this question. All right. The main reason is same web application. What is the same web application? I remember in one of the videos, the hint for the homework, I explained that. What's the same web application? But here, there is a good reason explaining that. Even I explain, still, quite some students still miss that. The reason is because you are not quite understand the web application. Right now, you have not developed web applications, so you do not have that good understanding on that. Later, when we do that, then you will get better and better understanding. So remember, I plan to assign you, 3 projects. Project 1, Project 2, Project 3. Okay, Right now we are here. Project 1. Project 1 and Project 2, I will do client side application. Because we just practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I want you, get pretty good experience on that part. So Project 3, we will do server side. Application. The server side, then you need to develop a web application. At the server side. Then you will understand it much better. One web application, you have to put all the files in one folder. You need to create a folder as the root folder, as the root of your web application. Okay, so everything else, you can have other files, subfolders, right? So files, subfolders inside this root folder. So those are all the resources of your web application. All right, so now here the question is, external JavaScript file, do we mean, because suppose you have a page here, you have a HTML page here, okay? But you need an external JavaScript file. The question asks you if that external JavaScript file has to come from this same web application, somewhere inside this root folder. That's the question. The answer is no, false. Answer is false. The reason is, do you remember I gave you one example? The external JavaScript file, we can use the URL to get it. URL to download the JavaScript file from another different location. For example, from Google. So they remember that there is a term called CDN. CDN. Google has some Java library files distributed in their CDN. So what's that? Content Directory Network. Okay, Content Directory Network, CDN. CDN way. So we will use the URL point to some JavaScript file in some CDN location. Okay, for example, the jQuery. Yeah, jQuery. When we use jQuery, we can use Google's CDN jQuery. Okay, it's very common. People use that way to access, to download jQuery. Yeah. All right, so that's the background of this question, number 12. Yeah. All right, next one. Number 14. For this one, missing rate, 35%, higher than 1/3. Yeah. In an HTML document, can we make a block element have inline behavior? So we need to do something to make that happen. Yeah. By default, we cannot, right? Yeah. But here, you can change. You can change some property if necessary. Yeah. The answer is yes. Yeah. So let me explain the background. Yeah. So in CS, there are two types of elements: block elements and inline elements. Inline. Yeah. So those are the original block elements, inline elements. So each one, there are some examples. Yeah. That means original block or inline elements. That means for those elements, so their default display value, display property. So there for each element, so there is a display property. Yeah. You can set display property. Okay. All right. So for block, default display element, the default value is block value. Okay. For inline, the default display value is inline. All right. So that's the original setting. Yeah. Original setting. You just need to know that. Yeah. Now we want to make block element have the inline behavior. How do we do it? We change its block value, right? Yeah. All right. So that element, so whatever it is, yeah. Suppose it's an ID, yeah. L ID, for example. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So in that, can we change display value? If original value is block, can we change it to inline? Right? Yeah. When we change, set other values. Yeah. After that, then you attach this ID to that particular element. Then you run it in your web browser, you will see after that change, it will have the inline behavior. That element will have the inline behavior. Yeah. So I show some example. Yeah. The example I show you, remember, that's a list. Yeah. Yeah. There is a list. Okay? Ordered, unordered, the list. Remember, we know the list element, Li, by default, it's a block element. Okay? Yeah. So we list in that block way. Okay? Yeah. But after we change to inline, you will see this list will be displayed as the horizontal way. That's the inline way, horizontal way. Okay? Using that way, yeah, because this way could be useful when we want to display a menu. a menu. Yeah, menu. So sometimes we want the horizontal menu, sometimes the vertical menu. See? Yeah. So that's the background of this question. Yeah, 35% missing rate. Yeah. All right, the next question. Number 16. All right, yeah. The missing rate, wow, huge, big one. 87%. So big, yeah. So this question actually, it is very useful. Yeah. So I created this question, based on my own experience. Yeah. So it is not very hard. You can try. I believe most of you did web search, right? Most of you, yeah, because you have plenty of time. Yeah. So you can use search engine to find the answer. Do research, right? Yeah. But the result, look at this. This is the result. Yeah. Most students gave me partial solution. Partial solution. The most common solution is BR. Okay? Either this way or that way. Okay? Whatever it is. But this is not blank line, right? Yeah. Line breaker. Yeah. So you break the line. Line breaker. So you change line, but there is no, this way, there is no blank line. Okay? No blank line. We need a blank line, right? But that one you didn't give me the blank line, right? Yeah. Yes, that's the problem. Yeah. Here, the answer, I give you two answers. Two possible ways so that people use in this situation. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot to, include answer. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Here, let me just write, because it's very short answer. Yeah. All right. The first answer, using P element, paragraph. The second answer, using BR element. Okay, two solutions. Yeah. Solution one, solution two. Yeah. The first solution, when you use P, this way. Good way to do it. You use a opening P tag, but inside it you like to put a non-empty character, but you don't want to display anything in it. You create a paragraph containing something, but you don't want to show anything there. So we use space character. How do we represent space character? And a special HTML entity. So what's that? Ampersand non-breaking space, right? And VSP semicolon. Yeah. Then closing P tag. Yeah. That's the first way. Yeah. That's the first way. Yeah. So that's the most frequently used way to create a blank line. Yeah. All right. The second way, using that BR. Yeah. BR, you need to use two consecutive BR element. One is not enough. One is not enough. One just line breaking. Yeah. The second one, another line breaking. Okay. Yeah. But this one, after you use the second way, the first way, there is some difference. Although you see some blank space. Yeah. Blank space. Yeah. This one will be wider than that one. Okay? The gap bigger. Okay? Yeah. Actually, this one approximately you have two blank spaces, two blank line, not just one. The gap approximately equals two blank lines, not just one. but you see some significant space there. Yeah. Anyway, because sometimes you want to have a little more space than one blank line, so you use the second way. Okay? Sometimes you only need one blank line, you use the first way. So that is the answer for this question. That is the answer. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Because when you do the web search, I guess, for most of the answers, you won't get this much detail. Okay? So most of the time, you just get partial answers. Partial answers. Yeah, but not, many times you couldn't find a complete answer. So like what I did here, two solutions, the difference. Because these things come from experience, come from long period of experience. All right, so we finish part 1. Part 1. So all right, so let me stop here.